Let's talk about Trevor Lawrence and the Jacksonville Jaguars because it's a lot of questions around this franchise. Do you pay Trevor Lawrence long term? And can this team still be a contender in their division with CJ Stroud and the Houston Texans looking crazy right now? And this division is going to be tougher moving forward. Just a couple of years ago, Trevor Lawrence was looked at as one of the best quarterback prospects of all time since Andrew Luck and since John Elway. And we hear that every once in a blue moon now about quarterbacks coming out of the NFL draft, guys like Caleb Williams. And we say, hey, they have all this great potential. When they hit the NFL, they're going to be great. That hasn't been the case with Trevor Lawrence. Now, he has not been a bad quarterback because as soon as he came over to the Jacksonville Jaguars, they were a terrible team. It's the reason why they had the first overall pick. Did they tank some games to get him? Sure, they did. But they were not the best team to begin with in the first place. You had Urban Meyer be his head coach in his rookie season. It was terrible. One of the worst head coaches in NFL history. But they made good on that. In the second year, they went out there and they hired Doug Peterson, who had a lot of success with the Philadelphia Eagles, even won a Super Bowl championship with the Philadelphia Eagles. And they went 9-8. And that first year with Doug Peterson, not only did they go 9-8, they made the NFL playoffs and they won a playoff game against the Los Angeles Chargers. And they came back in that game from being down by a lot of points. And Trevor Lawrence had 4 interceptions in that game. Not every interception is created equal, but that has been the one Achilles heel with Trevor Lawrence. It has been the turnovers. 60 turnovers in the last 3 years. That is terrible. Not every turnover is on Trevor Lawrence. The offensive line protection hasn't been the best. The wide receivers haven't been the best either. But Trevor Lawrence has a lot of problems scanning the field. At times, he'll just throw the football in double coverage when it makes zero sense to do so because he trusts his arm power too much. He tries to play the game like how he did at Clemson, but the game is faster in the NFL. And like I mentioned before, I'm not calling him a bad quarterback. If it's up to me, I would pay him his money because he is a franchise quarterback. Now, when you look at his numbers, you say 60 interceptions in the last 3 years. Hold on real quick. Why would they go out there and pay him? For one, they put him into a horrible situation that first year. So essentially in his second year in the NFL, he had to learn a brand new system yet again. He was effectively a rookie yet again. And in this season right here that we just came off of, this team was 8-3, and he was viewed as being one of the better quarterbacks in the AFC. We're still waiting on him to be in the same conversation with guys like Joe Burrow, Justin Herbert, and Josh Allen because of the talent that he does have. His numbers may not say that on paper, but when you look at the film, he is one of the better quarterbacks in the NFL. Smart decision making when he isn't going out there and throwing in triple and double coverage. When he can just go out there and get one-on-one coverages with guys like Calvin Ridley, who was on the team, who was no longer here. But when he's getting those one-on-one matchups, puts it straight on the line, puts the ball to where he can only get it. The same with Evan Ingram and Christian Kirk as well. This team went from being 8-3 to 9-8, not because Trevor Lawrence just completely fell off. It was because Trevor Lawrence was dealing with that ankle injury that he suffered against the Cincinnati Bengals. And they probably should have set this kid down. But the problem was this. They couldn't afford to sit him down and put in the backup quarterback. That's why they went out there and they made a trade to go get Mac Jones, who I believe would be a very good, effective backup with the Jacksonville Jaguars. The reason why this team completely fell off, the defense was not the same this season like how it was last season. And then you had Trevor Lawrence dealing with that ankle injury. He could not go out there and get the same push on that back foot. His stance was different and he wasn't comfortable in the pocket. And the offensive line protection has been a problem since he stepped foot with the Jacksonville Jaguars. But the fact that this team was 8-3 at the beginning of the season, and they were in a close range to go out there and defeat the Kansas City Chiefs early in the season. It was a lot of miscues in the red zone, and their red zone offense was not the best this season. They struggled a lot, and especially on third down. When it was a 3rd and 3 or a 3rd and 4, they could not get those conversions because they'll have some drops or just timing issues with the wide receivers. That comes down to chemistry because this was the first year that Calvin Ridley was with them. But he had a good rapport with Christian Kirk. Christian Kirk went down in that Cincinnati Bengals game as well, was dealing with a core injury. Zay Jones was a very good, effective wide receiver, but he was pretty much dealing with a knee injury all season long. Just a year before, Trevor Lawrence would get him the football on 2nd and 3rd down. He was having that big knee brace on his knee. He could not push upfield. He could not cut effectively enough. So that was another valuable option that was taken away from Trevor Lawrence. So no Christian Kirk, no Zay Jones. So now you have to deal with guys like Evan Ingram, who has completely turned his career around. Very good tight end, by the way. And Trevor Lawrence has brought the best out of him, and the same with Christian Kirk. But when you're taking some of his best weapons away on valuable downs, this is going to happen. And with the defense not being the same, I'm not surprised that this team missed the NFL playoffs. I'm surprised that they went 9-8 yet again this season. The offensive line protection, like I mentioned before, has been a problem, but Anton Harrison showed a lot of good this season. Cam Robinson missed time. Cam Robinson missed the first 4 games of the season dealing with a suspension. Then he missed weeks 14 through 17 dealing with a knee injury. So he did not look the same on the field. If you give this team a healthy offensive line with the pieces that they have now, I expect for Trevor Lawrence to be better because you're bringing in Mitch Morse, who is a very good center from the Buffalo Bills. He did not get cut from the Bills because he's a terrible center. He got cut because the Buffalo Bills cannot go out there and continue to pay guys because they have that ugly contract with Von Miller. But Mitch Morse is going to be a very good interior lineman with the Jacksonville Jaguars. Cam Robinson is a solid tackle, and I believe Anton Harrison can be a franchise tackle moving forward with them as well. When you had to put Walker Little out there at the left tackle position, he wasn't terrible per se, but he wasn't the best option to have because he's not ready to play and he's not ready to be a starting tackle. As a swing tackle, he could be solid. But let's give him some time. But having Cam Robinson there, if he can stay fully healthy with Anton Harrison, that should help out the offensive line. That left guard position as well, they suffered a lot of problems. You had Ezra Cleveland there. He started a couple of games. They basically just had a rotation at the left guard position because it came down to a chemistry issue. That's going to come down to Doug Peterson. But you have to protect Trevor Lawrence. But I will say this right here. A lot of the times when you look at him on film and you say, okay, this kid has a turnover problem. He'll have some fumbles. They make you scratch your head. Just like this right here against the Baltimore Ravens. He's running in the red zone. Just loses the football. Makes zero sense. You can't have those type of plays if you are a franchise quarterback in the NFL. Then you also look at other times to where he's just out there and he's just throwing a dot straight into the back of the red zone to a guy like Calvin Ridley. When I look at Trevor Lawrence's numbers, you're really getting catfished here. Because yes, on the season, he only had 21 passing touchdowns to 14 interceptions. But 7 of those 14 interceptions came in the last 4 games of the season. And he was dealing with that ankle injury still. He came out and said that he did not feel fully healthy until May, which is crazy. So he pushed his stuff back on the field. And I understand why the Jacksonville Jaguars are pushing him on the field. They're saying, hey, we have to go out there and we have to try to make the NFL playoffs because we do not have the confidence in our backup quarterback to go out there and to win us football games for the next couple of weeks. But at the same time, you have to protect your asset. I really wish they would have gave him 2 to 3 weeks to just try to go out there and fully heal and just run the offense through Travis Etienne. And speaking of Travis Etienne, very good running back, by the way. When I look at Travis Etienne, he missed all of his rookie season dealing with a Liz Frank injury. But since then, he's been very good. 1,008 rushing yards on the season, 11 rushing touchdowns, 3.8 yards a carry. And it's not because he was a bad running back that his average per carry is down. It was on the offensive line yet again. But he can catch the football at the backfield, and he can be a very good, effective running back if you give him the chances. I've mentioned Evan Ingram before. He's a very good star tight end for the Jacksonville Jaguars. He completely has turned his career around. Give him a lot of credit, but Trevor Lawrence has featured this man at the next level, and I'm happy to see him be an effective playmaker with the Jacksonville Jaguars. Christian Kirk is their number 1 wide receiver. I know that could be a bit of a controversial take, but he's their number 1. Just a year ago, he had over 1,000 receiving yards. And it's crazy because if we go back to that playoff game against Kansas City Chiefs, they're one big play away from possibly beating the Kansas City Chiefs in the playoffs. But Christian Kirk drops a 50-yard deep bomb by Trevor Lawrence. And you no longer have Calvin Ridley, but you do now have a guy in Gabe Davis. Now, Gabe Davis is a good number 2. He could come in. He's going to be a good, solid option when he's catching the football. He's dealt with drops in the past, but when he is on, he is on. He benefited a lot from playing with Josh Allen and Stephon Diggs, but I'm not going to take anything away from him. He's a very good, solid wide receiver. Did they overpay for him? Yes, but I think that he can come in and he will fit the system of Doug Peterson. Don't sleep on him because he could be a very good, valuable option, especially on 2nd and 3rd down. And when I look at a guy like Brian Thomas Jr., that's the guy that they're hoping that can be their true number 1 over the next couple of years. Very good speed wide receiver from LSU. He did not get that much attention because Malik Neighbors was going crazy at LSU, but this is a guy that can take the top off the defense, can run the complete route tree, and has great hands. Do not be surprised by the end of the season if he is their true number 1 wide receiver. So they have the right weapons around Trevor Lawrence. Is it ideal? No, but Trevor Lawrence has proven before that he can go out there and he can get the best out of any target that you put on the field. So their offense, it looks better. You're bringing back Press Taylor, which was a bit of a controversial decision, but I agree with that for this simple fact. Trevor Lawrence just had to learn a brand new system a year ago with bringing in Doug Peterson. Doug Peterson still is going to be here, and Doug Peterson does go out there. He has a huge influence on plays, him and Press Taylor, but Trevor Lawrence, all the reports are saying that he has a good relationship with Press Taylor. Part of the reason why a lot of people don't want Press Taylor to be around is because of how bad they struggled in the red zone. It wasn't all on the coaches. They had some major drops last season, and the offensive line protection was leaky as well. So let's give Press Taylor one more year. Far as their defense, they made some very good moves over the last couple of years. Trayvon Walker has emerged as being one of the top pass rushers with the Jacksonville Jaguars. He's gotten overshadowed by Josh Allen, but let's not sleep on Trayvon Walker. Just a year before, he wasn't able to go back there and sack the quarterback. He was able to just go out there and stop the run and just put a lot of pressure on the quarterback. 10 sacks in the season. Now we're starting to see this guy go out there and transforming into being one of the better pass rushers in the AFC. And a lot of people gave the Jacksonville Jaguars a lot of flack. Why would they select him over Aiden Hutchinson? For one, he's a better fit for this system than Aiden Hutchinson. And Aiden Hutchinson is a beast for the Detroit Lions. But when I look at Trayvon Walker, he's just a freak of nature. Can go out there and get you pick sixes like how he did in his rookie season. Can go out there and stop the run against guys like Derrick Henry when he was in this division. He is a great playmaker, and he's going to go out there and eat up double teams. Josh Allen has benefited a lot from playing alongside him as well, and he's benefited a lot for playing alongside Josh Allen. Now, they did go out there and they re-signed Josh Allen to a long-term extension. He went crazy this season. 17.5 sacks, 2 forced fumbles, 1 interception. So as long as you have those two guys on the field, you're going to have a very good pass rushing duo. I think their defense will be better for this upcoming season. You just fired your old defensive coordinator. You bring in a guy like Ryan Nielsen, who I believe can come in and just completely transform this defense, because we go back just a year ago, this defense was one of the better young defenses in the AFC. They could stop the run, and they were still solid against stopping the run. They were 9th in the NFL. It was their passing defense that wasn't the best. Now, they went out there and they cut Darius Williams. In my opinion, he was the number 1 corner this season. Tyson Campbell, yes, the name still carries a lot of value because of what happened his rookie season. But in his sophomore season, he had a sophomore slump. He was not the same cornerback. In his first year in the NFL, he was regarded as one of the top corners. And we're saying, hey, he could be the next guy up with guys like Patrick Surtain, with guys like Sauce Gardner, if you give him enough time. And not too many people speak on Tyson Campbell's rookie season, but that kid was phenomenal. We look at his sophomore season. 44 catches allowed, 543 receiving yards, 9 receiving touchdowns, with only 1 interception. That is terrible. So you hope in this brand new system that he can be better. I still think that Tyson Campbell can be a number 1 corner in the NFL. We've seen cornerbacks in the past. They have one great season. Then the next season, they just get completely exposed. And then you bring in a brand new defensive voice. They look better. Hopefully that is the case, especially playing behind these pass rushers. But I am a bit concerned about Tyson Campbell. You bring in Ronald Darby. He's a solid cornerback. He's not going to be the same cornerback that he was 3 to 4 years ago, but he's a solid guy to have around, and he's a solid veteran. They also went out there and they signed Darnell Savage, who could play some cornerback. He could play some free safety. He could play some strong safety. Just a versatile safety and a versatile defender with the Jacksonville Jaguars. I like that move a lot. You have Antonio Johnson at the strong safety position. We're going to see if he can go out there and if he can be a true starting safety. 2 interceptions on the season, 3 pass deflections, 1 forced fumble. He has good potential. Andre Cisco is also a guy that you look at. 4 interceptions on the season, 5 pass deflections, 1 forced fumble, 42 solo tackles. These are just young and up-and-coming guys in the secondary. And you have to bear with him because he's 24 years old. But I expect for him to be a true starting safety as well. I like what the Jacksonville Jaguars have. To me, they are an underrated contender in their division because so many people are focused on the Houston Texans right now with CJ, but you do have some tough competition in here besides the Houston Texans. You do have the Tennessee Titans, who did defeat this team, and they were the reason why they did not make the NFL playoffs this season. Because this is another thing to take into account. They dealt with all those injuries. They were 1 game away from making the NFL playoffs. If they went out there and they defeated the Tennessee Titans, that Houston Texans versus the Indianapolis Colts game holds 0 weight because they go out there, they clinch their division, they will make the NFL playoffs. Now, would they have made a deep playoff run with Trevor Lawrence being very gimpy? No, but they would have made the NFL playoffs. So they're right there. I could easily see 2 teams coming out of this division, the Houston Texans or the Jacksonville Jaguars together. But do not sleep on the Jacksonville Jaguars. I think that Trevor Lawrence will take the next step up. And when you look at him on film, he is a true franchise quarterback. I've heard a lot of people in the NFL national media say, hey, he has some of the same numbers as Daniel Jones. That's not fair, for one. He's a way better talent than Daniel Jones. And I can say this as well. Kyler Murray got a big-time deal a couple of years ago with the Arizona Cardinals. Yes, he made the playoffs, but he has not won a playoff game. Trevor Lawrence, in his first year with a solid head coach in Doug Peterson, not only made the NFL playoffs, but won a playoff game against a Chargers team that had Justin Herbert, Keenan Allen, and Mike Williams as well. They had a terrible head coach in Brandon Staley, but he showed that he can battle through adversity. So this is a guy that they're waiting for all those years. They even tanked for him. If we go back a couple of years ago, they lost games on purpose to go get Trevor Lawrence. It makes zero sense to not go out there and pay him. If he can just tone down on the interceptions, I think that Trevor Lawrence can break through this upcoming season and he can be in the same conversation with guys like Joe Burrow and Josh Allen. I'm not going to say Patrick Mahomes because he's on a different level, but he can be in the same conversation with those guys. But let me know in the comment section below, how do you guys feel about the Jacksonville Jaguars, and are they an underrated contender in the AFC? If you're new to the channel, hit the subscribe button. If you like the video, hit the like button. Most importantly, we want each and every last one of you guys stay safe, stay positive. Thanks for watching the video, guys. God bless. Peace.